Hi, and welcome back to In the Hot Seat with Emily Diala and Dr. Viviana Coles. I am Emily, and this is Dr. Coles.
Hi.
This is the third episode in our series on infidelity and affairs. In case you missed it, go back and watch the first two episodes. In episode 1, we talked about some of the precursors to affairs, what sets people up. And then in the second episode, we talked about the immediate aftermath of an affair. Today, we're going to discuss some of the longer term effects and, a little bit on how to rebuild your relationship in the long run after going through something like this.
So one of the things that we've noticed with our long-term clients who are recovering from rebuilding is that there's a sense of insecurity, a lack of confidence that used to feel really, really strong. It's now something that is more fragile.
Yeah.
And some of the triggers that they say will be when their partner finally puts a code back on their phone, or if their partner is traveling for the first time since the affair or since the discovery of it. And there's always that risk that they're going to be blindsided again.
Yeah.
They're so concerned that they're going to be blindsided again.
I think a really important habit to avoid is the obsessive checking. It's so hard, especially in that, immediate, month or 6 months after, not to want to check your partner's phone all the time or their emails. Yeah, exactly.
Person.
But I do think if you can do it, if you can avoid that, it's probably one of the most important first steps you can take to truly rebuilding trust, because I think that's what sets couples up for failure in the long run, is that cycle continues. It's a habit
and
that
it's so dissatisfying.
It is, exactly.
It's so
like both people feel terrible about themselves usually after it happens. So I really work with couples on, setting up some strategies to share information and check in a more constructive way.
To be an open book, to be more transparent, to tell that person, hey, this is what's going on. And if there has been any communication or interaction with the person that they had the affair with, that be something that is disclosed right then and there, even with the fear of, oh my gosh, this is going to ruin our day, it's going to ruin her day, it's going to ruin his day, we have plans this evening. It's so much more important for the long-term satisfaction of the relationship and rebuilding of trust that you share that information and process it. If you get caught in a lie again regarding this particular person, it's like a bomb goes off.
Exactly. And when it happens over and over, it's like Chinese water torture. I mean, it can, and the effect of the trauma on the other person when it happens like that is far greater. So you really want to avoid, any information coming out in dribs and drabs.
I would say if you're concerned about what your partner's reaction is going to be to hearing this information, call your therapist, schedule a couples therapy session, and bring it out there. We can help to mitigate the reaction and to also process it so that when y'all do go home, you can know what to expect, you can know what kind of healthier reactions to have to it, and we can remind your partner that this is what the rebuilding process looks like and what rebuilding trust looks like.
And I think it's important to go to a skilled therapist and a balanced therapist when initially dealing with this, because nowhere but the good old USA do we have trauma treatment centers for dealing with an affair, or 2-week-long couple workshops on intensives. And the fact is, not everyone who has an affair is a narcissist. Not everyone who has an affair is a sex addict. Not, partners of those who have affairs have post-traumatic stress disorder.
Or have substance abuse issues.
Yeah, exactly. Or are codependent. I mean, I think we tend to over-pathologize the aftermath of an affair, not to, minimize that, yes, upon discovery of this, it's traumatic. Your world is shattered, as we talked about in the last episode. But you can come out on the other end.
You can come out on the other end, and one of the ways that you can do that is definitely keeping up the transparency, the open book concept within the relationship, but also making sure that over time you're not slipping back into old habits with being non-communicative with your partner and crossing boundaries like you did before. Sometimes the way that I like to explain it is, there is the person who stepped out on the relationship, and once they stop that affair, they begin rebuilding immediately, and that can happen overnight.
Yep.
And so they start feeling like, okay, I'm moving forward, I'm processing, I'm better, I'm feeling better about myself, I'm feeling better about my relationship, we're handling all of these things that were going on. And the partner who was cheated on is back here feeling stuck and alone. And the partner who's ahead of them and is feeling more like they're processing,
Right.
They look back and they're like, come over here, I promise it feels so much better.
We call that a treatment gap.
They're like, I promise you feel so much better,
Yeah.
you feel lighter, it feels better. Why are you back there? And this person is saying, I can't even imagine taking one step forward. So what I like to tell the person who's ahead of them is to say, go back there and hold their hand.
Yeah.
Walk
I like that.
through it with them. You're going to come out stronger. It may not make you feel good. It might make you feel really uncomfortable.
There's frustration, for sure.
There's frustration. You might feel a lot more guilt and shame and feel like, why would I go back there? Like, you're moving backwards. You're not moving backwards. You're moving together, and that's so much more important when it comes to the long-term effects.
I think also when we're talking about the long-term effects, you have to, as a couple, grieve the fact that your relationship will not go back to the way it was before this happened.
That's a great point.
I mean, this has happened. You can't undo it. What I do find is couples who I think follow the steps that you were just describing can come out feeling a lot stronger and closer on the other end. Initially, that may seem completely impossible,
Right.
but it certainly can be done if both people in the relationship really recommit themselves to the relationship and talk openly about how the relationship was before and how it may look moving forward, because this has happened.
There's this other little metaphor that I like to use where after an affair, you can take the house down to the studs, and then you can decide what you want to bring back in and what you want to leave out. And for a lot of couples, it's kind of a new place to be able to say, you know what, we used to do that. I don't like that anymore. That doesn't fit with who we are today. Or maybe this new couple that we are does this, and we want to be this people. And that's something that's very unique to every couple, but it can be this rebuilding, and it can be really positive to take things down to the studs.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where you don't know how to manage this, or maybe you're 2 years out, maybe you're 2 weeks out, please seek help for this. It's going to be really good for you long term to talk to a skilled therapist about this process, because a lot of people can't stand feeling this way for 1 more hour, 1 more second, and you can be in a better place a few months down the road, a year down the road, if you get the help you need.
I also think an important step to take when considering long-term effect is, as soon as you feel emotionally safe enough to do so, try to start reconnecting physically. And that may not mean, jumping back into intercourse right off the bat, but start connecting in a way that is sensual and intimate. I mean, it might mean taking a bath together, or just holding each other in bed, or spending some time kissing each other. If you carve out that time earlier on, it'll make it less awkward, than if you wait, 6 to 12 months to get back into bed together. And it's scary for people, but I do think if enough trust is reestablished, if you're feeling enough of emotional safety with your partner, then try to push yourself a little bit to take that step, because it really can do wonders in the long term.
And that's a very important caveat. I want to repeat what you said. You have to feel safe. It should not be because you want to reclaim your partner's sexuality for your own, that all of a sudden, I found out you did this with someone else. Well, now I want to do it, so now you're associating that with me again.
That gets a little bit into that codependent category.
That is not.
But you know
what?
Also, don't feel too bad about yourself if immediately after this happens you feel like you want to have sex with your partner all the time. It's actually an evolutionary mechanism called mate guarding, and people feel very confused, like this horrible thing just happened. Why do I feel more sexually drawn to my partner? But it's
but just be conscious of that and know what your intention is behind it, and also think about the message that you're getting across to your partner. And if that's confusing, again, you got to tease it out. It's better to tease it out than to just go for it. So we'd love to invite your comments again on this series on infidelity and affairs. #HotSeat. We'd love to see you online on Twitter, Facebook, and on YouTube, and hopefully you'll join us for our next series.
Bye-bye.